So I want to tell you about my action-packed and frankly star-studded weekend that I just had last weekend. On Saturday, I went to the Hay Literary Festival, a very prestigious festival, and I was chairing an onstage discussion with Charlie Higson. You know him as the comedian, but he's probably better known now as an author. He wrote the Young Bond books, and he's just written a new book, The Enemy, which is a zombie story for kids. It's a full-on zombie story. The plot is basically this. Anyone over the age of 14 has been infected by, maybe it's a virus, which has caused them to either die or to become rampaging zombies. And all the other kids up to the age of 14 are left to govern themselves, to look after themselves, to fight their own battles, to take over Buckingham Palace. And it's an interesting story because on the one hand, it's wish fulfillment. Hey, no adults. On the other hand, terrifying horror story. Hey, you know, our parents have been taken away from us. I was very interested in it because, as I said, it's a full-on zombie story. I mean, there is flesh ripping, there is, you know, decapitation and mangly stuff like that. And as you know, people tend to get very jumpy about that sort of stuff around kids. I mean, I grew up sneaking down, watching Hammer horror movies, reading quite gory comics, being a fan of the Grimm's fairy tales, you know, wanting fear in my entertainment. But not everyone thinks that that's such a great idea. Charlie Higson told me an interesting thing, which is that in America, the publishers have forced him to change the story. So the age of the oldest kids is not 14, but 16. And the American publishers apparently said, well, you know, basically we have to do this because if you know, one set of libraries or one set of schools takes against you, we're kind of in trouble. Now, I think that changing the age of the kids from 14 to 16 makes a fundamental change to the story. I mean, obviously it owes some kind of a debt to Lord of the Flies. A lot of people have mentioned that. But I do think it is basically important that the kids are 14. So I wanted to know from you, if you're a horror fan, what did you read? What did you see when you were young? I mean, obviously, in the book, The Enemy, there are a lot of references that I saw to the George Romero zombie movies, but I didn't see them till I was much older, and I grew up before video. There wasn't, you know, everything wasn't available out there on the internet. So tell me, did you like horror as a kid? And if you did, what are your earliest, most frightening memories? Ramsey Campbell, the great horror novelist, once told me that the scariest thing he ever saw was a frame from a Rupert the Bear annual with a tree walking on its roots like that. He said it was the most terrifying thing he ever saw, and he was convinced that the root of all his horror stories lay in that image. Anyway, that was Saturday, and that was really enjoyable. Sunday, well, that was very star-studded, because as you may or may not know, I presented a BAFTA at the BAFTA TV Awards. Many of you tweeted and wrote in saying, what on earth was Kermode doing at the BAFTA Awards? Here's an impression of me in the BAFTA Awards, and if you were watching television, you may have seen shots of me in the audience doing this. Who is that? Who? I've never heard of him. Who are they? Have you ever seen that program? Are they important? Are they famous? Anyway, I was there for a reason, because I was presenting an award. Now, unfortunately, the presenting that I did was cut out of the television broadcast. It was considered to be too incidental to the main thrust of the action. But I want to take this opportunity to tell you what I said when I got up on the BAFTA stage. It was great. I basically said,